Hi, welcome to StarBets. I'm Mark McCadden and I'm joined today with Shamrock Rovers midfielder Stephen Rice. Stephen, you're very welcome.
Thank you.
We'll start talking about your early days as a footballer. You went over to Coventry as a teenager. Tell us what happened over there.
I went to Coventry from Lewis Celtic when I was about 15, and it was a great opportunity at the time, to be able to go to a Premiership club. Obviously, it's every young lad's dream to play at a Premiership club. I was lucky enough to give him that opportunity at 15, and I went over. Unfortunately, it didn't work out in the sense I was constantly homesick. I loved the whole concept of full-time football over there. It was really great, and I learned a lot over there. But I wasn't happy as a whole over there. I was very homesick, and obviously I had some medical issues as well, which the club weren't aware of, which I wasn't aware of at the time, which would have been I had no iron in my body and stuff. So, I would have been the last in all the running, and I would have been last in all, after 40 minutes in a game, I would have been on my knees, and they just thought you're lazy, yeah. So it was a combination of being homesick and obviously having that going on, that eventually turned to me cancelling my contract and returning to Ireland. Was
that something that had affected you right up to then, or did it just come on as you turned 15, 16?
Funny enough, no, it didn't, because I think generally when I was at home, I was eating well before I went, and that wasn't a problem. And after about 6 months of living in England, this might sound crazy at a Premiership club, but my diet wasn't actually right, and we were actually living on a training camp, so we weren't making our own food, it was being made for us. But when I look at it now, it was all wrong, and I think that's where it stemmed from, that I had actually no iron in my body at all, which wouldn't enable me to do anything.
When was it diagnosed?
It was actually diagnosed when I joined Bowes. Gino Brazil, who got me down to Bowes, who was the reserve manager, couldn't understand why, he was beating me in a 12-minute run essentially, and no one could understand it, so he said, look, go get a blood test at full time. Like, it can't be right that you're not up to fitness. You're training every day for the last 3-4 years, it's not right. So I went and got a blood test, and it turned out that, as I said, it was down through the floor.
Must have been very depressing for you over at Coventry. You'd be doing these training exercises with the lads, and you wouldn't know yourself why you couldn't compete with them.
Yeah, it was very strange, because I said, running and getting around was always a strong point of my game, and it was always something that I never had an issue with. And then to go there and then for that to happen, it was very strange. It was tough, and as I said, a combination of being homesick, and then obviously, the coaches are on your back then thinking you're just lazy or you're not fit enough, and it all coming out to me deciding that it wasn't the right place for me. And lucky enough that I did come back, and lucky enough that it was Gino at Bowes when I went there and suggested that, and once I got it sorted, within 4 weeks, I was close to the first team then at Bowes.
How much of that condition have contributed to your homesickness?
I don't think so. I don't think the condition would have contributed. It was just generally. I don't think the environment that I was living in over there was right. I lived with 20 lads over there. On the training ground. So there was you were never away from the game. You were never away from football. You were constantly 24 hours football. I think that played a big part in it. I think it's important for young lads nowadays when they go away and they're training. Okay, go do their training, do a couple of jobs wherever it may be, and then they come away from it for the afternoon and the evening, because you need to be away from it. And maybe whether it be with their friends or be on their own, you just need that time away from it.
Were you ever in danger at all over the lack of iron in your body?
You mean?
Like, was it ever a serious threat to your health?
No, I don't think it was. I was sleeping constantly. I couldn't really run. I chatted earlier. I don't think it was ever a serious threat, but it certainly was at a stage where I was, considering, calling it a day with the football. I just thought, it wasn't for me. Particularly when I came back to Bowes, the first 3 or 4 months at Bowes was really difficult. Because as I said, I couldn't understand. I went on loan to Monaghan, and I couldn't get in the Monaghan team or anything, but I just couldn't get around, and really so, because I couldn't move.
Yeah. The leaving Coventry in those circumstances must have been difficult for you, not knowing why you weren't able to keep up with the rest of the lads. Were you disillusioned at all when you came back? Was there a time when you felt like I might just?
No, not when I left Coventry. I was very clear-minded in that what I wanted to do. I wanted to, I had opportunities, as I said. I still had like a year and a half left on my contract there. you know, I had opportunities to go to other clubs in England, lesser clubs in the lower divisions. But I was very focused on that. I wanted to get back, I wanted to get home, I wanted to get myself right, and I was aware obviously of the league. I was very aware of the league, and I just felt that, you know, to get back here, to be living at home with my family, with my friends around me, and get myself into a League of Ireland team. I knew there was a career to be made over here.
Was it Gino who brought you into Bows, or who spotted you?
Well, Gino gave me the first call. Gino gave me a call. Gino rang me and said, look, you know, come up and do a bit of training. So I went up and trained with the first team for a couple of days, and then after I trained with them for a couple of days, I played a game with them, and then Stephen offered me a contract. But my first year at Bows was spent predominantly in the reserves.
And when he got you, or when he sent you, I suppose, to hospital, and you were diagnosed, and it was discovered what was wrong with you, were you put on a very specific diet?
Just plenty of red meat and stuff, you know, and I got kind of tablets which I still take today, because, you know, there's no reason not to, you know. The doctor said take them indefinitely, like, you know, there's little iron tablet, basically, it's what you need, and I said plenty of red meat, and, you know, basically, you know, and all that type of stuff, what you get iron most. And he told me to drink a lot of Guinness, but it's plain horrible, like, you know what I mean? Like, so I wouldn't be into that, like, so I just stick with the steak and stuff, like, you know.
I think you must be the first footballer who's been advised to drink.
Yeah, it was weird. Yeah, it was weird. Like, have a couple of pints of Guinness. I was like, no, I believe in fall into a pint of Guinness. Like, you know what I mean?
Since those early days of Bows, it hasn't affected you at all?
No. I made sure that, you know, I changed my whole diet. You know, I obviously taken these supplements to help me as well. Like, you know, and it's never been an issue since, thank God. Like,
yeah. Now you've been you were at Bows for a couple of years. Just highlights of your time there.
Well, it was obviously, well, one of them would have been playing Ghent. That would have been my first European kind of game. We played Ghent home, and we actually beat them in Dalymount 1-0, which they'd be a big enough club. You know, we went over there and got done, I think 3-1, and but that was certainly a highlight. You know, unfortunately, I was never able to win anything there, which was always kind of quite young, like, you know, and the club was very much in transition at that time. You know, it was Stephen had just left. The year I got into the first team, I played a lot, and then I think after Europe, Stephen got sacked. Levadia Talon, actually, Stephen got sacked after that game, and then Gary Howlett came in for the rest of the year. And was, you know, the club was kind of in a transition period, and we would have been kind of a mid-table team. So, you know, disappointed that, you know, I was never able to achieve that in there. People,
I suppose, would have been surprised to hear that last year the Premier Division title was your first senior honour.
Yeah, it was. It's people do say to me, like, you know, the young lads do say, and then all keeps reminding me how old I am and stuff, like, you know what I mean? But yeah, I've been around a while, like, you know, and it was something I was very conscious of, like, that, you know, I hadn't won that, and like, it was something that was, you know, starting to kind of think, like, now, you know, I need to start kind of, you know, achieving, and particularly the league was something that I always wanted to win, like, you know, so it was nice to do it, like, you know, and as I said, it was, yeah. But people do always say that, yeah, I can't believe it's your first. Like.
And when you left Bows, obviously you didn't leave in great terms. There were a couple of clubs looking for you across the water.
Stockport County and Dunfermline basically wanted me to go over. It was just, I think it was just at the end of August that where the season was just beginning, and their transfer window was closing at the end of August. And Jim Gannon at the time, Stockport, and Stephen Kenny was Dunfermline. You know, they come in, and it was really nice. It was flattering to have clubs like that, you know, wanting you to go and play for them, you know. And but unfortunately, they just, you know, everything for personal reasons, you know, and for what I felt footballing reasons, I felt it was better to stay here. You know, Shamrock Rovers had approached me at that stage, and I was aware of where the club was going, and it was something that I was very positive about. So, you know, I stuck it out at Bows for the rest of the season, and got back into the squad and stuff, and played a bit more, and obviously had the under-23 internationals as well at the end of that season, so that kept me kind of focused and training and training on my own, but it was still, you know, focused and training, like, you know. No, I was aware of Shamrock Rovers and where the club was going at that stage, so I was very happy to commit to them.
Were you disappointed in the circumstances or surrounding your departure from Bohemians?
Yeah, well, it's not, like, you know, that's football, unfortunately, you know. These things happen, like, and you don't like to leave clubs on bad terms or whatever, you know. And but you know, sometimes you know, things like this happen, and you just got to get on with it. It's a very cutthroat industry, this game. Like, you know, but you know, it's, as I said, disappointed to leave any club on bad terms. But you know, I couldn't be happier with where I went, and as I said, I'm delighted, and I'm delighted with the move, and I made it. I think it was at the right time.
I joined Shamrock Rovers at quite an exciting time, obviously back up from the first division, and Tallow was on the horizon, and you know, we've seen it all culminate with the league title win last season. Just tell us about your time so far there.
Well, when I actually joined, when I signed for Rovers, you know, there was no, the stadium still was up in the air, you know, so, you know, it was Rovers was always asleep, and kind of, you know, the last, whatever it may be, 8-10 years before, was a sleeping giant almost, and you knew it was gonna come back, like, you know, and I was aware of, you know, of how well they'd done in the first season back in the Premier Division, because obviously we were playing against them. I said there was no guarantee of Tallow when I signed, you know, but I was aware of the club, of its history, very aware of its history, because of where I'm from, like, you know, I'm from Crumlin, and as I said, when the club got to go ahead for Tallow, everything has kind of just been like a whirlwind since then. Like, it's been great to be a part of, like, you know.
Hard to believe this is the third year in Tallow.
Third year, yeah. I mean, I still kind of remember the Sligo game, the first game there. Like it was, you know, yesterday. That in particular was a great night, like, you know, and something that you know, there was only probably 14 players played that night all in, like, you know, but there's not many people that can say they can play in the first game there, you know.
It's the first goal for Gary Twigg that night now.
Yeah.
First of many.
Yeah, first of many, yeah, and like, you know, as I said, Twiggy's come in, and he's at the, you know, you see a lot of top players come into the league, and they find it difficult sometimes to adjust to, you know, to wherever it may be, to the tempo of the league, or that's, you know, wherever it may be. But Twiggy come in, and automatically he adjusted and just started banging goals in, like, you know, and hasn't stopped since, like, you know.
Just on Gary Twigg, when you first came into the club, you would have seen him in training. Any indication from that early stage that he could do what he's done? Yeah,
straight away. Like, I mean, I actually remember we actually training Sacred Heart at the time, and I think we done a finishing session, a crossing finishing session, like, and you know, it was just constantly scoring. Like, you know, he was always in the right place, and you know, and you can tell by his finishing and how cool he was in front of the goal that he was gonna be good. Like, you know, and I think we played a friendly in Athlone. I think in one of his first games, I think he scored 2. Like, and you thought, like, you know, he's gonna hopefully carry this on, and he's been excellent for us, and probably a Rovers legend at this stage. Like.
The goal scoring burden has been lifted from him a little bit with the pre-season signings this year. Carl Shepherd has obviously come in and scored a hatful of goals. Billy Denny's obviously chipped in. I think he's got 8 so far in all competitions. Scored a couple of goals yourself. Now it probably makes life a little easier for Gary that in previous seasons the goal burden was probably almost entirely on him. Yeah,
well, I mean, it would have been, you know, and to be fair, he never let us down. He always come up with them, like, you know what I mean. But yeah, it would have been like that. But I mean, as I said, even Ronan this year as well is chipping in with goals. We've got a lot more, and like, I mean, the thing about it, if Twiggy is out or he is injured, we've got such quality in Gary O'Neill, in Shep, in Kieran Kilduff, Dean Kelly, like, you know, 5 strikers that probably most clubs in the league, most teams in the league would love to have, like, you know, and we're lucky enough to have them. And as I said, it helps Twiggy in a sense of, like, and then there's boys, as I said, we're chipping in from midfield when we can, like, and Ronan as well, like, and Billy. So I mean, it certainly helps him. And as I said, if Twiggy's resting or if he's injured or something, there's a lot of strength there.
Just your thoughts on this season so far. You obviously followed up on your championship medal you followed that up with his Tanta Cup winners medal in May.
Yeah.
And he's atop of the league still.
Yeah, I mean, the Tanta Cup was great, you know, and was very conscious that, you know, this is probably one of the it won't be around for probably too much longer, the way, you know, things are going. Like, hopefully it is, because I think it's a worthy competition, you know. But a lot of the boys, I think only Dan Murray had won it, you know. So it's a medal that a lot of boys hadn't won, and a trophy that a lot of boys hadn't won. Like, so I mean, it was there to win, and financially it was good for the club. But I mean, for us as players, you know, and particularly myself, we hadn't won it, so it was a chance of an early win the first trophy of the season. And it was a great day in Tala, like, you know, it was full house, and Dundalk brought a good crowd, and it was a good game, you know. And I said it was their first trophy to win in Tala as well, which was important as we won the league trophy in Bray. But yeah, that was great. And as I said, with the league season now, it's going well. I said we're just halfway through now, and you know, we're top. You know, I said we'd like to have more points. We think we should have more points. But then again, every probably team in the league will probably look back on the first half and say, look, you know, we could do, but we could have more points, and we're no different. You know, but as I said, you know, this quarter now we're coming into the third quarter. Will be a big quarter for European games, for league games, for cup games. You know, there's a lot happening this month, so I think it'll be a big time now for the league.
Just finish up talking about your commitments outside of Shamrock Rovers. You're wearing your FAI gear today.
Yeah.
You've just come from coaching kids. Where were you?
We're down in Good Shepherd School there, down at Nuckrove. You know, it's basically, you know, kind of trying to get kids, basically, you know, from schools and stuff, trying to get football out there to them, like, you know, and making it accessible to them. So we're going to schools and we're getting into the communities and stuff, like, and it's a really positive thing. It's backed by the council as well, which is positive, like, you know, and as I said, we try and get as many kids involved, you know, at no cost, and we just let them play and basically just make it very accessible for them to play the game.
What exactly is your role and what areas do you cover?
I'm the Dunleary Rathdown development officer, you know, but I would generally cover Dundrum, Nuckrove, Ballantyre area, working all the schools around that area. Do coach education as well, which is educating coaches, Kickstart 1, Kickstart 2s, etc. Like, you know, so it'd be all around this area, and it'd be very backed by the council, which is good, because as I said, the facilities and stuff are great that the council have for us.
Do you enjoy the coaching side of things?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, it's great. Like, you know, as I said, to be fair, a lot of the times when you're coaching kids and they just want to play football, so it's not as if you're getting in coaching, but, you know, actually coaching kids, like, you know, you help them where you can, but as far as coaching properly, yeah, I do really enjoy it, like, you know. And
regarding your own long-term ambitions, you're quite far up the ladder in terms of badges.
Yeah, well, I've just completed. Well, last year I completed my UEFA B, you know, so I was actually meant to start my A this year, but unfortunately with the commitments that I have with Rovers and stuff, it wasn't the right time to do it. So I'd like to have my A, you know, and I'd like to have them all essentially by the time I'm kind of 30, 31, like, you know, so I'll be well qualified to then take it on then.
Excellent. Actually, just finally, sorry, you talk about your Rovers commitments. We've heard a lot of people complaining about fixture congestion this year, but a player's point of view, playing so many matches in such a short space of time, is it a burden?
Well, I mean, we love to play football because I'm paid to do it. So, you know what I mean, no one's going to complain. We're very lucky in what we do and how and that we can do it. So, you know what I mean, we're here to play games, you know. But I mean, from another perspective, like, lads with families, you know, lads with, you know, with other commitments, with jobs, you know, most of as I said, there's not many teams in the league full time now. So probably 80%, 90% of the league, all the boys work. You know what I mean? So it can be tricky, you know, and so sometimes it can be a bit of a burden, you know, and but again, look, you know, I personally wouldn't be complaining that much about it, because so we're here to play games, and but I can certainly see the argument. As I said, there's a lot of commitments outside football, whether it be family, work, you know, and everything else going on in your life. Like, you know, because people don't realise sometimes that how much of a commitment it is when there is a game. You know, it's the day before, it's the night before, it's the day of the game. You know, it's how you prepare and stuff. It's not just literally a case of showing up and playing the game, you know, type of way. So there is a lot of commitment in it, and I can certainly see the argument why it will be a burden to a lot of players. Yeah.
Great stuff, Stephen. We'll leave it there. Thanks, man, for coming in.
No worries at all. Anytime.